Let's start with a deceptively simple question. Why do we persist in managing disasters of our own making as if they were natural disasters and we are simply in an uncomfortable position? Not the floods of Somerset or the fires of Rhodes, but the economic tempest now shaking the UK. It's not merely bad luck, but the result of deliberate decisions. And Donald Trump's revived tariff agenda is one such decision. It's a wrecking ball. The IMF has warned that these measures don't just slam China or Mexico, but they will hurt the US and the UK, of course, and the global economy. Yet we find ourselves stage managing this as if it were a passing shower rather than a man-made storm. Britain's own set of choices, Brexit above all, was sold on sovereignty and simplicity. What we got was red tape, ruptured trade, and rhetoric that refuses reality, all those R's. Now we learn that public sector borrowing has soared. £151.9 billion this past year, nearly 20 billion more than the previous one, and a cool 14.6 billion over the OBR forecast. That's £95,300 pounds per household. This isn't a footnote, it's a flashing warning light. We could have admitted Brexit's flaws. We could have questioned whether a harder border with our largest trading partner was really the hill to die on. But no, instead we've embraced tariffs of our own. £95,000 per household. Across the Atlantic, Donald Trump, a man with all the subtlety of a chainsaw in a string quartet, is back with tariffs that promise to protect American jobs. Except they don't. They kill them. Thousands of US manufacturing jobs are already evaporating. Prices are rising. Global confidence is falling. Trump's message, America first, the result, America isolated and the rest of us paying for it. And more than that, it's apparently illegal. He can't impose tariffs without Congress's approval. The IMF now expects UK growth to falter, shaving off the 0.5 percentage points that Rachel Reeves relied on. Our inflation forecast has jumped too, not due to random economic tides, but due to tariffs, something that was imposed by an individual. Rachel Reeves, now cast as our saviour chancellor, has the unenviable job of dressing up this fiscal corpse. At the World Economic Summit in Washington, she vowed to defend Britain's interests while whispering the tired hope of a US-UK trade deal. She wants to review the tax regime for online imports, a sensible move, but one rooted in desperation. Reeves is fighting not just for British retailers, but for basic revenue to plug a leaking fiscal ship. And her review of low-value imports, especially goods under £135, is aimed at Amazon platforms thriving in the tariff loophole wilderness. The UK imported over 100 million such parcels in 2023 alone. Many evade safety checks. And we call this a policy victory. This is firefighting after letting the pyromaniacs write the building code. We could have admitted that Brexit has hobbled trade, that tariffs hurt more than they help, that outsourcing key economic decisions to political slogans leads to economic incoherence. But no one, not Trump, not Reeves, not the mandarins whispering in their unhearing ears, seems willing to say, we got it wrong. Instead, they dress up economic triage as resilience. They slap patriotic bunting all over what amounts to self-harm. The Chancellor is likely to raise taxes yet again this autumn, not as a bold policy, but because she has no choice. With borrowing spiralling and the world closing in, she will squeeze the middle to pay for the fantasies of the past. And when that happens, they'll call it tough but fair, as if it were fate, not failure. So here we are, managing disasters that we built ourselves. Brexit. Tariffs. Trump's tariffs may destroy American industries. Brexit has already destroyed British industries, wounded badly. Reeves, clever as she says she is, is left to plaster over a wound we refuse to clean. Get the maggots out. Get the leeches. Let's try it in some sort of medieval way. What we need isn't spin or slogans. We need an admission of failure. We need not defeat, but an admission of fallibility. Let's admit the tariffs don't work. That's the American position. Let's admit Brexit wasn't done well. That's the British position. We could even admit that Brexit was bad in the first place. But let's admit that it was implemented appallingly. Let's admit that the populist emperors, Trump, Farage, and yes, Reeves by default, have no clothes. They only have excuses, and excuses after excuses after excuses. Until we stop pretending that these unforeseen crises are man-made, we will keep building bonfires and then standing around them, surprised when they burn. We need to stop this charade. We need to name the errors, and then we need to fix them. Well, there's still something left to save, because this is falling through our fingers like sand.